Caitanya Swami Maharaj. I'll quickly give a brief introduction about Maharaj. Maharaj is from New Zealand, and although he's from New Zealand, he actually joined the ISKCON movement in London early in 1973. Almost a year before, he was a student of philosophy in Auckland University, where he first got to see Srila Prabhupada walking across the campus in Auckland University with his followers. And Srila Prabhupada initiated His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami Maharaj later in 1973 and gave him the name Raghubir Das Prabhu. And 11 years later, in Mayapur, he accepted the order of sannyas and was awarded the name His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami. He is an initiating spiritual master for many devotees across the globe. And he initially served in BBT, and also he distributed Srila Prabhupada's books from 1973 until 1980. And then he moved to South Africa, where from 1980 to 82, he served as a temple president in a rural community of Cato Ridge. And after that, he was doing fundraising for building the Temple of Understanding in Durban, which opened in 1985. So this extraordinary temple, it combines a modern design with traditional Vedic architecture and is one of South Africa's landmarks. So Durban, you know, is a very famous temple. And hundreds of thousands of pilgrims and tourists visit each year. From 1985 up to 88, he served as a regional secretary for South Africa. And then he participated in an outreach project in Johannesburg from 1988 to 1991. From that time, 1991 onwards until now, His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami Maharaj is mostly engaged in traveling, preaching, spreading Krishna consciousness in an authoritative and accessible way. His permanent base is in Durban, where his gentle and saintly presence provides stability there. And after joining the GBC in 1998, Maharaj's assignments have included many places like Angola, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, Swaziland, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Estonia. And furthermore, he acts as co-GBC for Mauritius and Northwest Russia, Eastern Siberia, Western Siberia, Latvia, South Africa, and Lithuania. And Maharaj also has served as a chairman of the GBC in the year 2002 to 2003. And he served as a vice chairman in 2001 to 2003. And then again in 2010 and to 2011. So he has been a part of the executive committee as a vice chairman and as a chairman leading the GBC meetings. He has taken that, he has been doing that great responsibility. And within the strategic planning team effort, SPT, His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami Maharaj is involved in the team building committee. His special interests include filming, photography, parikrama, visiting holy places of deep spiritual import. The splendid outcome of these interests can be seen in the impressive series of appealing documentaries of holy pilgrimages of India and festivals around the world, and in the books such as Vrindavan. He has produced a very beautiful book called as Vrindavan, the playground of God. That book has beautiful photos and everything and write-up. And in this way, traveling extensively in the service of Srila Prabhupada, Maharaj has been writing books, producing documentaries, and doing outreach programs. And personally, I got inspired when I heard his lectures on demons in Vrindavan Leela. Maharaj actually has a very good sense of wit and humor on one hand, on the other hand presenting a very deep philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which you will see today. The way he narrates the Krishna book, the pastimes of Krishna book, you will be so enthralled, you will be transported to another plane. He is very expert at it. And in my observation, also in his lectures as well as in his personal demeanor, he is completely non-judgmental and friendly from top to down with every devotee. Therefore, his association is very wonderful, and we are very fortunate today to have him at Pune here for the GBC meetings. So let us welcome him to Shri Radha Vandamchandra temple by loudly chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Wow, what an introduction. Yeah, you're one of the top introducers. Okay, is there a pair of, oh there is, okay, just a sec. Right. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Gopi Jana Balava Giri Bharadhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyas Tadasasi Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Shishi Gonitai ki, Shishi Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki, Sankirtan Yagya ki, ISKCON Pune Yatra ki, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the Samo devotees, all glories to the Samo devotees, all glories to the Samo devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, King Chitraketu's Lamentation, Text 5. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotish api mahamune muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune Any of our senior devotees?
Muktanam api siddhanam Parayana parayanaha Surlalabha prashantatma Kotishvapi mahamune
Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayanaha Sudurlabha Prashantatma Pratishvapi Mahamune. Any Matajis? Namapi Siddhana Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune Tanamapi Siddhana Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune Muktanam, of those who are liberated during this life, who are unattached to the bodily comforts of society, friendship, and love. Api, even Siddhanam, who are perfect because they understand the insignificance of bodily comforts. Narayana Parayana, a person who has concluded that Narayan is the supreme. Sudurlabha, very rarely found. Prashanta, fully pacified. Atma, whose mind. Kotisho, out of millions and trillions. Api, even. Mahamune, O great sage. Translation. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following purport to this verse. So actually, well, I read through Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport last night, and Prabhupada basically has sort of pretty much verbatim repeated the whole purport, at least, Anyway, pretty much. And it is not a short purport. So just sit back and relax. Not too much. Don't fall asleep. But keep focused, because it's very interesting, and there's some subtleties and of detail and so on that you should really try and pick up. Right, okay. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following purport to this verse. Simply desiring mukti or liberation is insufficient. One must become factually liberated. When one understands the futility of the materialistic way of life, one becomes advanced in knowledge, and therefore he situates himself in the vanaprastha order, unattached to family, wife, and children. One should then further progress to the platform of sannyas, the actual renounced order, never to fall again and be afflicted by materialistic life. Even though one desires to be liberated, this does not mean he is liberated. Only rarely is someone liberated. Indeed, although many men take sannyas to become liberated, because of their imperfections, they again become attached to women, material activities, social welfare work, and so on. Jnanis, yogis, and karmis, devoid of devotional service, are called offenders. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Krishna aparadi. One who thinks that everything is Maya, instead of thinking that everything is Krishna, is called an aparadi, or offender. Although the Mayavadis, impersonalists, are offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna, they may nonetheless be counted among the siddhas. Siddha meaning, of course, perfect people. So still they may be counted among the siddhas, those who have realized the self. They may be considered nearer to spiritual perfection because at least they've realized what spiritual life is. If such a person becomes Narayana Parayana, a devotee of Lord Narayan, he is better than a Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated or perfect. This requires higher intelligence. There are two kinds of jnanis. One is inclined to devotional service, and the other to impersonal realization. Impersonalists generally undergo great endeavor for no tangible benefit, and therefore it is said that they are husking paddy that has no grain. Stula tusha vigatina. The other class of jnanis, whose jnana is mixed with bhakti, are also of two kinds. Those who are devoted to the so-called false form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Satchitananda Vigraha, the actual spiritual form. The Mayavadi devotees worship Narayan or Vishnu with the idea that Vishnu has accepted a form of Maya, and that the ultimate truth is actually impersonal. The pure devotee, however, never thinks that Vishnu has accepted a body of Maya. Instead, he knows perfectly well that the original absolute truth is the Supreme Person. Such a devotee is actually situated in knowledge. He never merges in the Brahman effulgence. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10:2-32. Yen ye ravandakshri vimuktamaninas tvayastabhavad avashuddha buddhaya aruya krichrena parampadam pada patanchado nadrita yujmad angrayaha, which means, O Lord, the intelligence of those who think themselves liberated, but who have no devotion, is impure. Even though they rise to the highest point of liberation by dint of severe penances and austerities, they're sure to fall down again into material existence, for they do not take shelter at your lotus feet. That's unquote. Evidence of the same point is also given in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 11, wherein the Lord says, Avajananti mam mudha manishim tanam asritam parambhava majananto mama bhuta maheshvaram, which means, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be, unquote. When rascals, mudhas, see that Krishna acts exactly like a human being, they deride the transcendental form of the Lord, because they do not know the param bhavam, his transcendental form and activities. Such persons are further described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 12, as follows. It's the next verse in Bhagavad Gita. Moga sha moga karmano, moga jnana vichetasa, rakshasim asurim chaiva, prakritim mohinim shrita, which means, those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruit of activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated, unquote. Such persons do not know that Krishna's body is not material. There is no distinction between Krishna's body and his soul. But because less intelligent men see Krishna as a human being, they deride him. They cannot imagine how a person like Krishna could be the origin of everything. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Such persons are described as mogasha, baffled in their hopes. Whatever they desire for the future will be baffled. Even if they apparently engage in devotional service, they are described as mogasha, because they ultimately desire to merge into the Brahman effulgence. Those who aspire to be elevated to the heavenly planets by devotional service will also be frustrated, because this is not the result of devotional service. However, they're also given a chance to engage in devotional service and be purified. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1-17, Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantakstohya badrani vidunoti suritsatam, which means Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted, unquote. Unless the dirt within the core of one's heart is cleansed away, one cannot become a pure devotee. Therefore the word sudurlabha, very rarely found, is used in this verse, the actual Srimad Bhagavatam verse we're focusing on. Not only among hundreds and thousands, but among millions of perfectly liberated souls, a pure devotee is hardly ever found. Therefore the words Kotishvapi are used herein. Srila Madhvacharya gives the following quotations from the Tantra Bhagavat. Navakochas tu devanam rishaya saptakotaya narayanayana sarve yekechit tat parayana, which means there are 90 million demigods and 70 million sages who are all called Narayanayana. Narayanayana, devotees of Lord Narayan. Among them, only a few are called Narayana Parayana. And then this is now another verse from Tantra Bhagavat. Narayanayana Deva Rishyadhyas Tat Parayana Brahmadya Kaichanaiva Syu Siddho Yogya Sukham Labhan. The difference between the Siddhas and Narayana Parayanas is that direct devotees are called Narayana Parayanas, whereas those who perform various types of mystic yoga are called Siddhas. How are you doing? Are you awake? Are you still alive? Are you okay? You need some help. So that was the purport of Srila Prabhupada. And like I said, I went through Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport, and he quotes exactly the same verses. And it's just, I would say at least 90% the same, if not actually more. Right, so let us read the verse again. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravadi Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachade Jatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchkapatribhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay, well, I tell you what, just to make sure you're awake, let's do a little Vaishnav exercise. Put your hands in the air, everyone. If you have more than two, put them up also. And everyone repeat after me, not with me, but after. Yes. Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna!
Well, we must do it loud. I mean, that wasn't too bad, but we must do it loud. Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna!
Okay. Not too bad. Yes, well, the context is that if I remember correctly, the actual first verse, the first verse of this chapter, Maharaj Parikshit asks Shukadev Goswami that Because, of course, obviously demons are generally very sinful and just degraded, etc., just so inauspicious and horrible. And we can note that Vritrasura, he looked like that. He looked like a classic, even more than a classic demon, actually. So therefore Parikshit is concerned or interested or worried. How on earth could a person like that, assuming the person is really a real demon, obsessed with passion and ignorance, then how could Vritrasura have come to a very exalted level of Krishna prema? Not just, of course, there's no such thing as an ordinary level of Krishna prema, but he was on a very special level of Krishna prema. Ramai Maharaj yesterday was emphasizing that. He really was not just your average Krishna premi. There is no such thing. But just someone very extraordinary, even amongst those who have attained Krishna prema. And this is someone who apparently is like really a demon, like a really shocking type of gigantic demon. How could such a person, more or less at the same time, be like a super devotee, just almost unique devotee? It's a very interesting question. Of course, Srimad Bhagavatam is a very interesting literature. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we find so many case histories of people who are in special situations. But despite the special situations, they came to highly elevated levels of Krishna consciousness, like a Jamil in the same 6th chapter. He was in a very special category, and not like a real candidate for pure devotional service. But somehow or other, he actually came to that level. Prahlad Maharaj, the son of the biggest demon of all time. But still Prahlad was just a most exceptional and wonderful devotee. Yeah, all these special cases are there in Srimad Bhagavatam, different examples of different situations. It's very interesting to study the Bhagavatam with that idea in mind. So this is another such case, and therefore Parikshit is questioning, how could it be that such a person could become or just be a very elevated pure devotee, because pure devotees are rare. In our verse 5, the point is made, it's Parikshit again speaking to Shukadev, that among many millions who are liberated, and they're perfect in knowledge of liberation, out of many millions of them, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan. Extremely rare. In fact, the term in the verse itself is kotish or kotishu, which, if you were listening carefully in the word for word, Srila Prabhupada translated kotishu as out of millions and trillions. Trillions, my Lord. on this planet, some say, they say, them, who say all sorts of things. They say there are 8 billion. Don't ask me how they arrived at that figure, but 8 billion. 1 trillion is a lot more than 8 billion. It's, what is it? It's 1,000 billion means like 125, is it? Times more than 8 billion. And here the translation of the word is out of millions and trillions, plural. So, the head spins. It should spin at least, because the rareness, it's so extreme. It's kind of beyond comprehension, really, that devotees, Narayana Parayana, pure devotees, or like very serious, dedicated devotees, have given their hearts to the Lord and doing their best to be proper devotees or to become proper devotees. They're very rare. But devotees, here we are sitting in the temple room in ISKCON Pune with, a good few hundred devotees. So what does that mean? Anyway, I'll leave that with you. We're not all necessarily on the levels of, like exalted pure devotees, although, as far as in my limited understanding and perception at least, we've got in ISKCON, we've got devotees who are just very special devotees. So what does that mean? Well, one thing that it means, which is a very important thing, is that Srila Prabhupada, who you could say either directly or indirectly created these special devotees, even those who are just sort of trying, to become really qualified devotees, but that Prabhupada, his Shakti, his potency, and who Prabhupada was or who Prabhupada is as a devotee, what a special case. He is one of these Narayana Parayanas for absolutely sure. And he's created others, and others are sort of trainee Narayana Parayanas working on it. And so Prabhupada is really, really very special. And it's one of the fundamental, foundational points for us as members of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON to be as mindful of that as we're able to be, and to keep in mind that we must keep trying to develop our appreciation, develop our understanding of Prabhupada's position, because even if we've got some idea that Prabhupada is just one out of billions or trillions like that, we're just sort of getting into it. There's a lot more you can realize about Srila Prabhupada. And the more we can do that, the more our positions in Krishna consciousness will become sort of solidified, and the more we'll progress in Krishna consciousness. Because after all, one of the main factors, one of the main things we're meant to do or try to do as aspiring devotees is to learn to appreciate devotees, and particularly learn to appreciate the great devotees, and particularly Srila Prabhupada. So there you go, devotees. We are surrounded here by, I'm sure, different devotees, of course, are on different levels. Some are more advanced than others. Some are very advanced. Some are in the very early stages. But at least those who are really seriously trying to practice Krishna consciousness, they're very special persons. Seriously trying to practice following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. That's special. And they are special. And they should be appreciated. And of course, when you appreciate, then gratitude is a natural, sort of naturally flows from appreciation. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport here, they're really emphasizing these points. First point is, simply desiring liberation is insufficient. You have to actually be liberated. And you can become liberated when you've really understood the futility of material existence. And then you've become a vanaprastha. And then you progress further, you become a sannyasi. But, not all sannyasis are equal. Even. Not all sannyasis are equal. Some, as Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as they say here, that some take sannyas to become liberated, but because of their habits and their conditioning, their imperfections, again they become attached to women, material activities, social welfare work. You see here in India, you have all heard of the Arya Samaj. Maybe I shouldn't have even mentioned the name, but Swami Dayanand and company, they were like very staunch in their renunciation and objecting to deities and that sort of thing. You know that, don't you? If you know anything about Arya Samaj, you'd know that. And like strict, impersonal renunciation and preaching, strict, impersonal renunciation. But where I'm based, as Prabhuji very colorfully presented at the beginning, where I'm based in South Africa, we have Arya Samaj. We have Arya Samaj, quite a number of them in different centers. And one of their main activities is they have old folks' homes, if you know what I mean, for the old people, retired who are just about to die. They give them a place. So it is materialistic welfare activity. The Aryan Benevolent Home, it's called. And they're staunchly opposed to deity worship. Gosh. They're called iconoclasts. Means they would like to smash the deities physically. But in one of their main centers, because the wives of the men who are members were just so into traditional Hinduism, you go into the Arya Samaj temple and it's full of all your sort of typical Hindu demigods. So, if you follow the idea, you would see that here's this group which is meant to be, they're staunch impersonalists in theory and renouncing the world, but it's become corrupted. Even though the whole thing may have started with that sort of idea, but it's become watered down by different, old habits die hard. So they've become materially influenced. That it is not difficult for that to happen in this material world. So then Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, goes on to talk about how the jnanis, yogis, and karmis who are devoid of devotional service are called offenders. This we know, I think, quite well. Lord Caitanya said, Mayavadi Krishna aparadi. One who thinks that everything is Maya and not that everything is Krishna is an offender. Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, to illustrate this point, quoted 2 verses from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 11, chapter 9, verse 12, which hopefully you probably know. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form, Krishna says. They don't know my transcendental nature, my supreme dominion over all that be. So because Krishna appears in a human-like form, they think he's just one of us. And then they criticize him, they deride him. Or the verse 12, those who are thus bewildered, in other words, those who are bewildered by the idea that Krishna comes in a regular human form. This is the bewilderment. Those who are thus bewildered because of that misunderstanding of who is Krishna, because of that, an attractions arise within their hearts towards demoniac and atheistic views. They just become inclined in that way. And therefore, their association is really, we should really avoid their association. In Prabhupada's purport to Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 12, this one about how people who are opposed to the idea of Krishna's form being transcendental, but rather they think he's an ordinary person. So in the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse. I won't read all the Sanskrit, it's from Brihad Vishnu Smriti. Prabhupada says, it's a great offense to consider Krishna an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded because they cannot understand the eternal form of Krishna. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse from Brihad Vishnu Smriti and gives a translation. One who considers the body of Krishna to be material should be driven out, Haribol, from all rituals and activities of the Shruti and the Smriti. And that's all there is. There's only Shruti and Smriti, basically. So those people who think Krishna's body is material, they should be driven out of all of those things. And if by chance you see that person's face, you should at once take bath in the Ganges to rid yourself of the infection, fully clothed. Okay. We arrived on Monday. It was the last day of Navratri. And I was asking Ajita Nitai Prabhu, how are these people who are observing Navratri? Are they vegetarians? No, non-veg. Yeah. And, basically, they're really on the material level. And according to him, that's like the majority of the people who are observing Navaratri and worshipping Durga and Shiva, and people who, when they say, I am fasting, it means they're not eating meat. Yeah. That's what they say. In South Africa, that's what they say. Oh, I'm fasting. I'm doing kavadi. I'm fasting. Means I'm not eating meat for a while. So these people, if you see their faces, you should immediately get on a flight to Delhi or somewhere, or I don't know, wherever the closest place. Okay, Kolkata. And take bath, fully dressed. And I mean, that was Navaratri for you. And it's a shame. It's all deteriorated so much. But anyway, here the thing is, and of course we don't have much time, but the thing is, the context is that Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring about Vritrasura, because Vritrasura has already been described, has he? Anyway, Vritrasura, such an extraordinary person. He's already been described, particularly the last 4 verses of chapter 11. Such an amazing devotee. If you're familiar with those 4 verses that Vritrasura speaks at the end of the 11th chapter about how he's just feeling so much separation from the Lord, and he knows, I must have the association of devotees. I have to have it. And somehow I have to get the shelter of the Lord. The thing is, Vritrasura is such a special case. Srila Jiva Goswami, in Priti Sandarbha, he dedicates a whole, what he calls an anuchade. It's sort of almost like a chapter, something like a small chapter, to those 4 verses. Those 4 verses which Vritrasura speaks. Let me just speak the last one, verse 27, because Jiva Goswami kind of emphasizes this verse. 6th canto, chapter 11, verse 27. Mamotama shloka janeshu sakyam samsara chakre brahmatasva karmabi twan mayayat maja dara geheshu asakta chitasya nanatha bhuyat. O my Lord, my Master, I'm wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy, but I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. So in that anuchade of Priti Sandarbha, discussing Krishna Prema, Srila Jiva Goswami makes the following comment. He says, thinking that first of all, the title of the anuchade is Topmost Krishna Prema. That's the title of the anuchade. thinking the good fortune of directly seeing the Supreme Lord is an impossible attainment for him. Vritrasura, his eyes filled with tears, speaks this prayer we just read, verse 27 in Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the prayers, because it is filled with these extraordinary prayers of pure spiritual love, prema, the description of Vritrasura's death is included in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas also. It's a very interesting point that the description of Vritrasura, well, here it is, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's in other Puranas also. In Tattvasandarbha, if you're familiar with Tattvasandarbha, you would know that when Srila Jiva Goswami is basically, I mean, it may sound a little extraordinary, but establishing that what we call Srimad Bhagavatam is Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's not some other literal like Devi Bhagavat, or which some people think is Srimad Bhagavatam. So there Srila Jiva Goswami quotes a number of places. Agni Purana is another place, and a few others, where the story of Vritrasura appears also. Because the thing is, it's such an extraordinary case. Vritrasura is such an extraordinary case that it's quoted in all these different authoritative literatures. Such an extraordinary case. Someone who's apparently a demon, but actually he's on the highest level of pure Krishna prema. Yes, so devotees, we ran out of time a while ago. So the thing is that pure devotees like Vritrasura, pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, pure devotees like some followers of Srila Prabhupada for that matter, and pure devotees like any of you can become if you really continue to apply yourselves. It's all very special, very, very special. And for us, that specialness is available through Srila Prabhupada. Such devotees are extremely rare. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ke. You know, we really don't have time for questions. All right, one question. Ek prashna, Prabhuji, in English, if possible.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaj, when we sit to read Prabhupada books or hear Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, so what should our consciousness? What should be our consciousness?
Well, our consciousness basically should be, when we read the books of Prabhupada or listen to his classes, our consciousness ideally should be that this is the topmost, the cream of the cream of the cream of all knowledge for perfecting our lives and going back to Godhead and developing Krishna prema. And therefore, I must give it my absolute full attention. Really, because that's what it is. You know, I remember in the old days, I was doing traveling Sankirtan in England and Ireland and so on. And we were sleeping 5 hours a night. That was our program. And then we get up and chant our japa and so on. I'd finish my rounds, sit down in the vehicle to read the Bhagavatam, take a guess what would happen. I would fall asleep regularly, stable, steady, every time. So you know what I did? I don't know how I got the inspiration, but I did, to take notes as I was writing from the translation. Every purport, there's at least 1, 2, or 3 points or whatever. Note them down according to headings, the subject matter. And, there were 2 effects. One was I didn't fall asleep, and that was really good. But the other thing was I really got into it, and it really made an impact on my heart. That was 1976, 75 actually. 1975 I started doing that, and I've still got the notes. Yeah. And I still refer to those notes when I give classes. So it kept me awake, and it really helped the learning experience tremendously. Is that okay? But you must know, you're practically there. You're with Prabhupada. Prabhupada said that when you take to Krishna consciousness, you are standing in the, what's the term? On the threshold of eternity. Threshold means, there's the door. You've practically got your face against the door. The threshold. So Prabhupada said like that. You take to Krishna consciousness, you're standing on the threshold of eternity. All you have to do is step through. It's just one step, and you're on the other side. Yeah. So when you're reading Prabhupada's books or listening to Prabhupada, then you must know that's your position. And therefore, it's extremely important not to allow the mind to drift away or fall asleep, that sort of thing. Yeah. And then when you study with that sort of attitude, it'll make such impressions on your heart, like indelible impressions on your heart, which will transform you. How's that? Well, let me just conclude by telling you a little story. I used to distribute books, as I said, in the 70s, particularly in England and surrounding areas. One day, I think it was 76, maybe April, May, something, I got arrested by the police in central London. It would happen on like a weekly basis. Yeah. I should have kept note how many times, but it was at least between 50 and 75 times. Oh yes, no less. In other words, you are looking at a criminal. Yeah. So I got arrested and they took me in. It was Friday afternoon. For some reason, it never happened before and it never happened after. They decided to put me in the cells over the weekend till Monday. So I stayed in the cells Friday night, all Saturday, all Sunday, till Monday morning. And they took my neck beads, they took my japa beads, they took my Brahmin thread. They told me they were afraid I might hang myself. Yeah. And there I was. I had a cell to myself, which is, a benefit, I guess. And the devotees found out, so they brought me prasad. But the 6th canto had arrived in London that day for the first time, so they brought me a copy of the 6th canto. Not the complete 6th canto, I think it was in 2 parts, but it was the part which has the story of Vritrasura. So there I was in the prison cell, not much to do. I was chanting on my fingers and scratching the number of rounds on the wall and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And it was just so incredible. The story of Vritrasura. I was just completely overwhelmed, really, to the point that when I had to appear in court the next Monday morning and pay £5 fine, it's just like, it's stupid actually. So anyway, then they just let me go. And I was the temple commander in Berry Place. So they gave me my books back. So I thought, maybe when you're temple commander, you're extremely busy. You're really busy. And I would not get a chance to read. So I thought, maybe I should get arrested again. Because it was just such nectar. It was unbelievable, actually. So yeah, study the story of Vritrasura. What a story. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.